to just touch base with you guys, and I wanted to walk through some of the beginning basics of backgrounds, okay? So today I'm going to do 2 or 3 background just basic steps to get started, okay? Because the fear of this page is sometimes paralyzing, okay? So it's like, I don't want to mess up, blah, 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 blah. It's really about getting started. So this is just a book. I believe these are from Michaels. It's just a really basic blank journal. You could also use maybe like a, you could do an altered book, you know, if you wanted to alter it and you wanted to paint on those pages. That's also fine to do that as well. What I'm going to do first is just take some duct tape. Is this duct tape or masking tape? Masking tape, right? I always get those confused. And I'm just going to go down the seam. And what this is going to do is just allow you to be bold with your colors without having concern of it going in the creases, okay? Hope that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and grab the next one, and I'm going to do the same thing, okay? Just gonna, I like to work, Tiffany's tip here, I like to work in multiple journals or multiple canvases or whatever at one time. The reason behind that is the fact that I can move quickly without overthinking the process. So it's very easy to overthink and question every decision that we make. So that's one of the reasons that I do that. Okay, so now we have 2 of those, and then I had one more. This paper is a little thinner than the other 2. Okay, but I'm going to use it as well. Now I am very aware that some of you guys, especially those who are just starting out, are not going to have an overabundance of supplies. I think restricting your supplies is also a good challenge and a good way to grow. So on this very first one, okay, I'm going to use just simply a pencil. Now this may be water reactive or maybe not, but you know, excuse my little puppy dog. Come here, Pebbles. One of the things that I enjoy most about this is the unknown. So I'm just going down. I'm not even like, my eyes are closed right now. And that, to me, overcomes the white page. Like, it doesn't matter if I mess it up. Just put something down. Because guess what? You can always cover it up. No big deal, right? But the important part is actually starting the motion of forward movement. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get just some of my favorite paints. This is Deco Arts Americana Margarita. Margarita is my one of my drinks of choice. I'm not a huge drinker, but when I do like the saltiness of a margarita. So, you know, here, the only caution that I would bring you is knowing colors that to mix and match, okay? So, for an example, it's okay to use this Bahama Blue Deco Arts color with the green. Excuse me, it's down to the very last bit because it is one of my faves, but I'm going to dab a little bit out here. And now I'm going to take an old credit card. You could use a room key, something plastic. You can get these, you know, little freebies, gift cards that you had. And I'm simply going to take, let's see if I can, I'm not able to move that on the tripod. So I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm going to put a little bit of the margarita and a little bit of the Bahama Blue. See right there on the end of the card? And then I'm just simply going to press it. Okay? And, you know, like this. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to get a little bit more color. And I would not do this with, say, this beautiful, amazing pink that I have along with the green or the blue. Now, if you wanted purple, you know, you could do it with the blue, but I don't really want purple. So I kind of want to just get something on here. And this, to me, is like beautiful. Like, I love all of these colors, right? So I'm going to set this to the side to dry. Oftentimes when I'm teaching workshops and retreats and stuff, I see that people do not want to let those layers of colors dry, and then they want, you know, then they're like, ah, it turned to mud. So one of the key pieces here in this video is I want you to know is like, that's why I work multiple journals. So set this aside, okay? I'm gonna move it to the side. Pebbles, chill out, baby. My little Pebbles girl wants to talk to you guys this morning. So the other thing that I have on my table is watercolors. Okay, and so kind of like with the pencil a while ago, I just want to make some. Now you could draw something if you're a drawer or a sketcher. You could also just make some scribble lines. Those of you who've seen my videos, I'm kind of messy. I like things to not be so, you know, very linear. I like more loopy lines and crossovers and things. So I'm just choosing a few colors, okay? And I'm going in within this path that I've already created, and I'm kind of, you know, just mixing it all up and mashing it all up. Okay, so now I'm going to take a paintbrush, and you could also do this with a cosmetic sponge if you do not have a paintbrush. And I really, to be honest with you, and I'm just dipping it in a little bit of water. I don't know how much color we're going to get here because this is a non-gessoed surface, okay? And I'm not being very nice to my brushes because it doesn't really, you know, matter, and maybe we're not even getting any movement here at all. Okay, and then if you have like watercolor crayons, these are Neo Color 2s. They'll be linked to the bottom here. I'm gonna go because I want a little bit more color, and these watercolors I just used were very cheap watercolor pencils. So yeah, let's just make a big old mess. And this would be layer 1, okay? I may not get to that third book because I want to keep this kind of short. And because we put the paint pretty thin here, like this is pretty much dry for the most part, okay? So when I look at this, I look at a lot of hard, like, lines here. A lot of hard lines. So at this point, now that I've made that forward movement of some type of, you know, some type of media that is on here, I just simply go like, what do I want to do next? And sometimes that is prompted from simply seeing a stencil out of the corner of my eye. So I'm not overthinking this, okay? So I want to make sure that's important, that we're not overthinking. This is for our enjoyment. This is not to be criticized by our inner voice. This is just simply to make joy within ourselves and to enjoy the process. So what I'm taking is this cosmetic sponge. This is a little bit of gesso just because it was simply sitting in front of me, but you could use white acrylic paint, and I'm just going to go in here, okay, and I'm just dabbing a little, and I'm really not caring too much if, you know, the and hey, where did that color come from? Sometimes you have interesting things like that happen, and you know, I just go with the flow. And so now we have this very very light, just trying to make sure y'all can see, little light color there. I do like to move my stencil around often. And it just gives you a lot of variety without spending a lot of money on 4 or 5 stencils. So take a look at the stash that you have and kind of see how you could use your stencil differently. And I just figured out where that red's coming from. It's coming off of this stencil itself. So we couldn't have planned that, could we? And then I'm going to go the opposite direction, and I'm going to go up here, and I'm just softening some of those and giving variations. Okay, so here is kind of the page and what it looks like. Okay, so now I could very well continue to move on, but to be quite honest, I don't feel anything in my gut that tells me to like what to do next. So when that happens to me, I simply move it over and go back to another page. That one's still a little wet, so I'm gonna go to that third one that I said we may or may not do. Okay, one of the other things that I like to do to start a page is I have a little box that I keep to the side here that has bits and bobs of papers that I have used in other things. So these are torn out of, I've used phone book pages, I've used, you name it, I pretty much will try it. So if there's a scrapbook paper, maybe you have some pretty scrapbook paper. Maybe it's tissue paper out of a gift. I've also used that. Whatever it is that, you know, you have. Maybe it's some letters that you've written or someone's written to you, and you don't necessarily want to keep the letter, but you want to preserve it in another way and use it. You can do that. And so kind of like that. Again, not overthinking, just saying, okay, let's slap that down. I'm using, this is actually a Ranger collage glue stick. I usually use Oohoo, whatever it's called, this one. But if you don't know, I've just recently moved and I'm in a new studio, and I really wanted to show you guys some love since I haven't been on in a while. And well, quite frankly, I still have boxes of stuff everywhere. So it's a slow movement here. Alright, and then I want one more because to me and most people, an odd amount is pleasing to the eye. And so I'm just kind of letting this paper flow over the page. Okay, and if you've ever been in one of my workshops, you already know that 9 out of 9 times I'm going to put gesso or white paint as the next layer. Okay, and what I'm doing is there's a super, when I look at this, I see a lot of contrast between the stark white and the printed newsprint or book page, right? So I'm going to take this handy dandy cheapy plastic spatula, whatever its real name is, and I'm going to dip it in the gesso. Okay, can you see that? No real skill behind it. Okay, and I'm simply just going to drag it over this. Okay, why? Because I just like the way it looks, and gesso will allow different elements of the next layers to do random things on the non-gessoed and gessoed surface. Hope that makes some type of sense. And it also softens up the edges from transitioning to stark white to printed newsprint. So this one, we use the collage elements, which, like I said, could be any real thing behind it. Okay, so I'm putting that to the side, and I'm going back to this one. Okay, so I'm gonna pause it here so I can actually dry that off. Then I'll be right back. Okay, and now I'm coming back to this guy right here, okay? And really, you could go any direction you wanted to. What is really calling to me for this page is it needs some contrast of color and, you know, pretty much whatever you wanted to do. But for me, I really like this Dina Wakley Media. This is Textures, okay? And so I'm going to take these, this giant dot. I typically don't use an acrylic block, but I feel like it needs something bold. And I'm just going to go here. Why there? Just because I think it would be cool there. And then I'm going to go here and kind of rotate those dots. And then I also want to come off the edge a little bit. I do that pretty often. And then maybe a little bit off the edge here since we kind of have that hard line. And then I'm going to go up and do one here. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is stays on ink because if you're doing art journaling and you don't have a set plan, which is how I operate, you want to know what will react with color and what won't. I'm going to take the palette knife and I'm going to go over some of these hard lines that are not the most beautiful thing to me. And I'm just simply showing you ideas, right? So if you like to stop ahead of time, you totally can. And right now, in my opinion, I think we have a beautiful background. So I could totally, like, I'm just showing you backgrounds today, but I would totally stop and like go, okay, so what do I want to do? Do I want to put a quote in here? Do I want to draw something? Would I like to use a stamped image or possibly a magazine focal? At this point, it's time to think about where else? What else? What other colors? Because I think we have a great flow in this page. So hopefully that makes sense. And that's that one. This one right here, this is very minimal, and do not feel like when you sit down with your, like, at your you know, at your journal, that you have to continue to go on and on and on and on and layer everything, because you don't. And I am going to use the Stampers Anonymous Tim Holtz. This is called Handwritten Thoughts. I'm going to use this stamp and I'm going to put it off center. And the reason behind the off centerness is I think it's more interesting, more pleasing to the eye. Just going there again, using the stays on ink. Gonna get it. I've never used this stamp, so get it nice and juicy. Alright, and we're just gonna go with it. It may turn out okay, and it may not. We just have to be okay with it. Boom, there you go. Now, Tiffany being Tiffany, I like to circle it. And to me, this is beautiful art. Simple, and yet very interesting, all at the same time. A kid could have done that. Like, it just scribbles. So I'm going to go back to this guy right here. And what I would do at this moment is I would put some type of color down. I'm going to take my fingers because that's how I roll. I do enjoy making beautiful finger paints, and add a little bit of color, maybe mix that with some of the white. I can go back with the white now while that's wet and kind of soften some of those lines, blend it in a little. The process doesn't have to be complicated, is the why I wanted to make this video. Just, you know, don't second guess yourself. If you feel like putting down pink, put down pink. If you feel like, you know, making another thing I like to do is get a skewer, and then I like to just dig in this. And sometimes it doesn't really leave much, but it really is cool to me. So you see how this right here, let me see if you can see it. It's just very subtle but interesting texture all in itself. I would go with something dark next on this. I'm not going to finish this one up today, but just a dark layer, because we have a lot of whites, a lot of neutrals, a lot of, you know, some teal there. I would go, the next step would be something darker. So pencil marks, stamped images, go back with your stencil in a darker color. Be bold, but always go with your gut, guys. It doesn't have to be complicated. I love you guys. I hope you enjoyed our quick little walkthrough on different options for backgrounds today. I hope you will subscribe to my channel and give me the thumbs up. And always leave me a comment. You can find me on Facebook at Tiffany Goff, G-O-F-F Smith. That's me. You can find me on Instagram. The link's down below. I enjoyed spending time with you this morning, and I hope you come back and check me out at Southern Gals Designs. Thank you, and have a good one.